Hey everybody, this is Clay the Old School Gamer, and tonight I am bringing you a look at Uncharted 2, Among Thieves. And I know exactly what you guys are saying. Wait a second, this isn't a new release. What are you doing showing us this old game? And for those of you that have kind of been following my gameplays and my commentaries, I've mentioned that there's a lot of great games coming out at the end of this year. But between now and the time that these games start getting popped out, there's not a lot that I have that I really am excited about going to play. So what I've decided to do is kind of pick out some of the prequels to the ones that are being released later this year, and showing you guys why exactly these games have been dubbed good enough to have another game made for them. And so, for those of you that didn't know, Uncharted 3, Drake's Deception, is actually scheduled for release on November the 1st of 2011. Honestly, the Uncharted series is probably my favorite PlayStation 3 only series, and probably one of my favorite just campaign series that I've had I don't know, since I've had a PlayStation 3 and an Xbox 360. So there's a lot of games to choose from, and this is definitely a couple of my top games, and I want to talk about that and kind of tell you exactly why. But before I really get much into the gameplay itself, I watched this game through, and I realized as I was talking, sometimes it's kind of hard to look and watch this game and figure out what's going on without me actually telling you guys what's going on behind it. A lot of times I try to pick stuff that shows a little bit about everything that goes on during the game whenever I show you my clips, and this one has most of that in it. But one of the things is you don't get to see the cutscenes, and the cutscenes are what play a huge part in this game and letting you know kind of the story flow and what's going on. So let's recap here. Uncharted 2 starts, and you wake up as Drake, which is the main character, and you are laying passed out in a train car of some sort in the snow, and you've got blood all over your face, you're bleeding, and you wake up, gain consciousness, and are trying to figure out where you are and what exactly has happened. And as you kind of figure this out, this train car is basically almost falling off a cliffside, and your objective on that, and this is where it teaches you that Drake is like Spider-Man, is how to actually climb. He uses climbing as one of his primary weapons that he carries around in his arsenal. So after you kind of get along, it kind of has a flashback to previous, where some of the newer characters that we meet in this game, a girl named Chloe that happens to be one of Drake's ex-girlfriends, and a guy named Harry Flynn, approach him about Harry's been hired by somebody to break into this museum here and steal an artifact. And the artifact looks almost like a genie lamp, and they're trying to figure out what exactly the value of this lamp is, because none of them really have a clue what exactly it is. And Drake's usually pretty up on his history and what things are and what artifacts are. So anyway, they break in here, and they get the item. Harry betrays them. It ends up that the artifact that they're actually get isn't what they are after. It's the map that's inside the artifact. Harry ends up betraying Drake, and then so Drake is left with having to escape the authorities without getting caught. And so anyway, that is the clip that you are going to see. Now, let me go ahead and tell you a little bit about what I like about this Uncharted series. And there are so many things, but I'm going to touch on the major ones here this evening. The first and foremost, I think, is they do such a great job with the environments in this game. Drake is like a modern Indiana Jones. I mean, he is a treasure hunter. His main objective is to find artifacts and I guess sell them to make money. And so one of the things that he does in his job description is travel a lot. And movie's sake or game's sake, a lot of the places he travels are very exotic and very big, and they spend a lot of time really making these environments just look spectacular. I mean, you're talking about mountains in Nepal, or a jungle, or beaches. I mean, you name it, cities. They're all in here, and they do a spectacular job of making these things look really good and realistic. So that's probably a little bit of the animation and computer and 3D animation geek in me coming out, and things that I noticed: the textures, the lighting, the modeling, the effects. I pay attention to all those and know a lot about the time that goes into them. So of course the graphics are great in this. Both of them are filled with graphics, and a lot of times on the cutscenes there's a lot of witty humor that kind of goes on, and so it keeps you laughing too as everything goes on, and you learn what's going on and playing the game and meeting the characters. As far as the controls and the gameplay, everything flows well for me. If I'm able to walk into a game and pick up a controller, I don't necessarily have to know how to do everything whenever it comes to working the controls and knowing what button does what, but there's kind of that certain, you want to at least feel halfway familiar with the controller whenever you pick it up and jump into a game. And I've gotten to the point where most games I can do that, and I like to point that out because it's something I like about games whenever I'm picking a new game up and playing it. And this game does that very well. They've got a certain formula down for these controls, to help the gamers, at least have some kind of idea without looking at the instructions what they're getting into and how to control the game. And so yes, the controls on this are great, easy to get a hold of, and doesn't take you long to pick up how to use the game. And the flow as well, the game flow as well is also easy to figure out and easy to get along with. So and this game it's a third person, but it's so much more than just a third person shooter, and this is probably my second favorite thing about this game. It's not just a run and gun kind of game. The thing is he is a treasure hunter, so hidden treasures, you think about them going into temples, there's booby traps, there's all kinds of different things. In this game particularly, there are puzzles that you have to solve. There are treasures that are hidden throughout the game, so you have smaller treasures that you can gather up, and if you find them all, congratulations. And there's also, of course, the storyline in it is awesome. If you like the Indiana Jones movies, I mean, they're some of my very favorite. Like I said, this guy is modern Indiana Jones, and the storyline is great. The plots are well thought out, and one thing Drake has in his arsenal, and I think I've probably mentioned, is he's absolutely an unbelievable climber. One of the funniest things about this is, he is given a task of going from point A to point B, and most of the times if you play a game, point A to point B consists of going in a straight line and shooting the bad guys and dodging bullets and diving behind barriers in order to keep from getting hit. Well, there are times when that happens, but very rarely. Typically, if he has to get from point A to point B, he is going a very roundabout way, climbing, scaling walls, jumping roofs, jumping across pipes. I mean, you name it, and that's what he's doing. So that's another fun thing that you get to experiment with throughout this game. Bottom line, guys, this game is an absolute blast, and I'm looking forward to bringing you all some more video gameplay of this particular game. There's a lot that I want to talk about, a lot that I want to share, and a lot more than I have time to share here in this one video. So I would encourage you guys, if you like this gameplay, if you like this commentary, keep an eye out, because I will be bringing you at least 2 more videos on this game. Guys, just so you know, I'm sure this game is very reasonably priced right now. It's a fairly old game, and if you got 15-20 bucks to spare and think that you may be interested in just looking for a good fun game to do, I would highly suggest this one. Of course, I will spend another 2 videos trying to convince you of that. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed the gameplay. I hope you've enjoyed the commentary, and I hope you enjoy Uncharted 2. Guys, until the next time, this is the Old School Gamer. I am out. Have a very nice day. Peace.